We have a really sad story here. An 18-year-old boy died when doctors tried to create a vagina for him using part of his colon. His colon was used because puberty blockers stopped growth of his genitals, which means there weren't enough tissue to do the penile inversion surgery. This story has been going kind of viral. As you can see, 61,000 likes on Twitter. A lot of people have been talking about this, and I just wanted to put my 2 cents in here. Like I said, an extremely sad story that this boy, 18-year-old boy, had to die because of this surgery. But at some point, we have to start recognizing this stuff as a mental illness. And I've seen the argument be made, oh, if you recognize it as a mental illness, then why would you deny someone treatment for the mental illness that they have? Well, it's very simple. The treatment for the mental illness of transgenderism, or thinking that you want to be the gender that you aren't, or the opposite sex, whatever way you want to describe it, this type of mental illness right here that would cause people to do this and actually die from it, which is extremely sad, that type of mental illness shouldn't be treated by giving someone surgery to change the sex. That's not how you treat this mental illness. If someone is schizophrenic and they think that an imaginary creature is strangling them all the time, and their solution to that is, I want to cut my head off so that this person no longer strangles me constantly. If that was their solution, the doctor would look at them like they're crazy, probably send them to someone to talk to, maybe give them some medicine, for their mind, which I don't really agree with either, but I think it's a lot better than doing things like this and having people actually just die because of surgeries that they're having. But you're not going to cut their head off, even though they really want to, because this person is strangling them constantly. This imaginary creature that this schizophrenic person is seeing is strangling them constantly. You're not going to cut their head off, because that's not how you treat these types of patients. That's not how you treat these types of illnesses. It's just not. So that argument is really stupid. That argument is really, in my opinion, bad faith. These things are mental illnesses, and they definitely need to be addressed as such. We need to take these more seriously. I honestly think that even seeing pronouns in bios should be treated as a mental illness, or at least a very early sign and early stage of mental illness. But once you get to this point, man, we got to start outlawing these things. We just have to. These types of things just need to be outlawed. Like I said, his colon was used because puberty blockers stopped growth of his genitals, which meant there wasn't enough tissue to do the penile inversion surgery. So instead, they did a really, really dangerous, obviously, surgery, and they ended up killing an 18-year-old boy because he wanted to have a vagina. Extreme mental illness, and it needs to be treated as such, and we need to stop just honestly enabling. This is what this is. This is enabling a mental illness to a very extreme extent, to the point of death. It's sad, man. It's really just sad, the world that we're living in currently. Major complications began within 24 hours of surgery, and necrotizing fasciitis, I'm not sure what that is, was confirmed in the days that followed despite large doses of antibiotics and repeated removal of dead or infected tissue. The previously healthy patient went into multiple organ failures and died. Once again, after this harrowing account of a young person's needless death, the researchers assure the reader that the vaginal reconstruction had a positive influence on the quality of life of non-transgender and transgender women, but cautious that physicians and patients need to be aware of serious complications that may arise. And another argument that I see all the time is stuff like Brazilian butt lifts and other plastic surgeries are very invasive and also very dangerous. People die from those quite a bit, a lot more than non-cosmetic surgeries. And I would agree with you. I don't think people should be getting those either. I think those are bad. I think those are really stupid. I think you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot if you get a BBL knowing that the risk is very high of death and other complications. The risk is extremely high, especially in comparison to other types of surgeries. So I think that's really stupid, and you shouldn't get those either. I don't know if we should necessarily treat that as a mental illness, but maybe on a case-by-case basis, it could be considered a mental illness, depending on how bad the person wants it, what reasons they want it for, and things like that. But in terms of stuff like this, it straight up is a mental illness. And I'm definitely not going to show you this picture. If you really want to see it, I would advise against seeing it. It's really, really disgusting. I regret the fact that I watched it or that I looked at it. But if you really want to go see it, you can go check out the thread yourself. It's from Billboard Chris. Maybe I'll leave the link in the pinned comment or the description. The investigation into the young person's death revealed that the deadly strain of E. coli most likely came from the patient's own intestines, not from the hospital setting, meaning that the more risky vaginoplasty or vaginoplasty surgery necessary due to early puberty suppression almost certainly caused the fatality. So sad, man. Here we have this surgery is also being done by children's hospitals across the US. And we've watched these videos before in other videos that I've made, but let's check out this small clip really quick.
Penile inversion vaginoplasty is the full name of vaginoplasty. In this procedure, the surgical team is creating the outer and the inner vagina. The reason it's called penile inversion vaginoplasty because we use the penile skin and the scrotal skin in order to reconstruct the vagina. By doing so, we break it down to all of its components, and we use some of the tissue to reconstruct things the way they were supposed to be for that patient.
Disgusting, man. It's a clown world that we live in, but honestly, saying clown world is really an understatement at this point, because this stuff is starting to kill people. People are dying to this. So it's no longer a clown world, not something to laugh at anymore. This is really getting dark. This is seriously getting dark. This is seriously getting sad. The author of the above article is Cry Me a River, and she is probably the most brilliant person writing about the subject in the world. So if you want to go check it out, go check them out over there. We are looking at y'all from Africa and shaking our heads in disbelief. Hey, yeah, like this person said, don't let this madness spread there. It probably will eventually. They probably will propagate this all over the world eventually. What in the world did they expect to happen? They used part of a colon, baffling this poor family. Man, it's so sad, dude. It was obviously his family that enabled this. I don't know that all the time, man. I've heard some horror stories where the parents thought that they were doing everything that they could, everything right, and the child still went against their wishes and still became transgender, got the, transition surgeries and things like that. I've heard some horror stories, man. It's part of the reason why I'm terrified to become a parent, because you can truly do everything right, and every once in a while, even if you do everything right, your child could still turn out to be extremely mentally ill. It's just how it is, and it's really sad, but it is what it is. Legalized murder. These doctors knew what they were dealing with and went ahead and played with fire. They should all be charged with second-degree murder. Doctors, they are butchers. Yeah, I agree, dude. These doctors, and I don't know if they were given orders. I don't know if the people who performed the surgery were given orders to perform the surgery. I guess you could give them somewhat of a pass, but I mean, they're still, they don't have to do it. It's not like they're slaves and they have to do it. They still made the conscious decision to carry out the surgery, knowing the risk and knowing that this person could die, and they did end up dying. So, maybe they should be charged with something. Personally, if it was me, I would definitely charge them with something, because I think that this stuff needs to be punished. It needs to be put to bed. This stuff needs to be totally banished from society. And I think the best way to do that is by throwing the book at people, man. If you kill somebody because of a surgery that you knew was dangerous and is not necessary whatsoever, because you could just solve the mental illness that's going on in their head instead of giving them surgeries to enable the mental illness, then you probably should be put in jail, at least for a while. Maybe not for life, but maybe for a while. Don't use terms like vaginoplasty, as they are real surgeries that can take place on male bodies. Parents will answer to God and should be jailed. Hope they're happy. So I guess in this situation, the parents must have enabled the person. The parents must have pushed more for the surgery to happen, which is just extremely sad, man. I feel so bad for the kid. I feel so bad for everybody else who's going to have to go through similar things, man. But let me know what you guys think in the comments about this situation. A really sad one, but it's a very important one to talk about, a very important topic. I would appreciate if you left a like and comment on your thoughts and everything like that. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.